Hello and welcome to day 8 of Eat with Sandhya. We have been talking about food over meals, where I have been sharing my food and my eating habits as well, besides trying to get down to the first principles of food and eating. So thank you for everybody who joined me on my birthday yesterday and who've stuck throughout this program. Yesterday we spoke about GMOs and some specialty foods, but today I wanted to touch a little bit on organic food as well before I spoke about food allergies and food intolerance. We did speak a little bit about gluten as well yesterday. Organic food is another one of those I'll say that it brings up different definitions and ideas in our heads, but since this series is about stripping it down to the basics, let's indeed get into that. All right. Just for the basic definition, a food that's organic is one that's grown without any kind of artificial or chemical pesticide or external practices or influences on that. So you can see that, like with GMOs or genetically modified foods, this definition could be a little problematic as well, because through the centuries we have indeed been nudging food along to grow faster, produce more, create better for us, feed us better, and perhaps more nutritionally. So this definition does become complicated. I know for a fact that because people, if I ask for something that's plant-based, people will helpfully also tell me that, hey, we got this especially for you. We think you like it because it's also gluten-free and it's also organic. Each of these things means a different thing, but they're all being marketed under this banner of healthy food. Now, is organic always better? It's again a very, very nuanced issue, and I will say that part of it is based on science. A lot of it we won't actually know, but it comes down to how you make your choices and how best you can inform yourself. Long story short, not every vegetable or fruit or cereal or pulse that's grown without any kind of pesticide is really the healthiest necessarily. It can have several other impacts, including on the environment, including on the cost to the farmer, including on who actually makes the money in all of this. The economics of it is one question. Not all pesticides are harmful for us just because they're harmful for the pest. Many pesticides are purely on the surface and will actually get washed off. Yes, and some pesticides are worse for the soil compared to others. Several other pesticides get absorbed into the fruit or vegetable, which make it far more insidious. So again, no one size fits all. And a lovely rule of thumb for this, again, I will refer back to Kurskasa, which is the YouTube channel that I mentioned that has science-based and evidence-based videos. They do have one on organic foods as well. It's just a useful rule of thumb. Again, all their videos are between 5 and 10 minutes. It's a rule of thumb to inform yourself. There will always be resources and scholarly articles that they refer to that you can use as a starting point for further research. That's my dog Zoe there, who loves her food, but again, I try and make sure that she's eating dog food and not showing my love by giving her human food. Okay, a lot of the other confusions that we have around food, showing love through food. It's been hard work, I can tell you that. Now, before food intolerance, food allergies, it does seem like we have a generation that's getting increasingly more sensitive to allergies, more sensitive to intolerance. Actually, what is the difference between food allergies and food intolerance, right? So again, very layperson definition is that an intolerance is a food that primarily affects the digestive system, that makes you feel not so good, makes you feel ill, and can have a wide range of symptoms like bloating, flatulence, cramps, diarrhea, vomiting, and other digestive system related, or just that feeling of like brain fog that's related to the gut. And a true allergy is one in which the immune system of the body itself is triggered. Okay, so people that have a peanut allergy, literally their body will treat peanut as like something that's attacking the body, and histamines in the body will actually come out and try and attack, and very often attack the body itself, can create a very severe adverse reaction, including death. So I don't know if you watched Dan Brown, one of the, I mean, read Dan Brown books. In one of the books, the method of death is actually death by peanut powder. Okay. Now, this really is no laughing matter, but why does it seem like allergies seem to be on the rise? Does it seem like intolerance seems to be on the rise? Honestly, the jury's really out on this one. It does seem like their numbers are higher, but is that because we're more aware? Is that because testing has become more sensitive? Some of the theories about why this might be are because are we raising our children in very sanitized, hygienic atmospheres, and so they're not actually building up a healthy tolerance for many of these foods? Are we eating foods that are simply not familiar to our gut or our culture or generations of it? Are there many other issues, including stress, the environment, just the kind of other things that we're putting into our body? So you can see that potentially this is a minefield. What I would like to offer is that as we become more aware, and by the way, there is some amount of testing that is available. You can do food allergy tests. You can actually see a neurologist. You can see a gastroenterologist and actually get to the root of some of the conditions around what you might be experiencing. But I will say also that much of it's not a very exact science. Typically, what some of the treatments lie around, or some of the behavior changes lie around trying different foods in larger quantities for a specific amount of time, and then or eliminating certain foods from your diet and seeing how you feel about it. Okay. I'll go back down to a lot of what I said about gluten as well. Think about other aspects of your life that might be contributing: stress, life events, the kind of pollution that you're living with, what your lifestyle is like, what your sleep is like. All of these contribute to how you might be responding to certain foods. Also, increasingly, we're finding some of the big offenders are nuts, eggs, certain kinds of proteins, shellfish, lactose. So to a lot of people that have questions about lactose, like how can we be lactose intolerant? We've been having it for centuries. Again, there's no one simple answer to this. Partly it is that a lot of us have a capacity to digest lactose. We need an enzyme called lactase, and we do have it in childhood. Some babies don't even have it, and that makes feeding them all the more complicated. But lactase starts to lessen in our bodies as we get older. Presumably once we get teeth and we're supposed to be eating other foods, our ability to digest mother's milk or milk of other kinds goes down. Again, some cultures have, because milk has been such a big part of their diet, have been able to retain the amount of lactase in their systems. Asians especially, our lactase goes down quite drastically, and we often counter this, like we just treat it as like gas and bloating. Many of our foods will have things like saunf, to counter the effects of the bloating. So like aniseed or caraway, that will counter the bloating, but it doesn't actually take care of the problem of the lack of lactase itself. Okay. Not to get too technical about it, again, see how you feel. There are foods that have lower levels of lactase. So like when you convert milk to curd, the amount of lactase goes down, lactose goes down, sorry, but the milk proteins will still exist. So if you actually are allergic to the milk proteins, just consuming curd rather than milk will not help you, right? I don't want to get overly technical in this. It is not a precise science. So anybody that tells you, oh my God, just eliminate this and you will be fine, it's probably one of those more alarmist headlines. I will say it will take a lot more research, introspection, trial and error before you get the mix right. Some of the lesser known offending items could be, like with gluten, how we strip food of certain parts of it, how and much of what Michael Pollan talks about wheat is the speeding up of the fermentation process, which in turn makes the food more intolerable. A lot of people can't digest raw foods very well. I found, to my surprise, that I don't do very well with a lot of fruit, and just reducing the amount of fruit and spacing it out made a huge difference to me. Eliminating lactose was one for me. Surprisingly, I thought dahi was before I was eating plant-based. I thought dahi was okay, but just eliminating dahi before I turned vegan made a huge difference to my ability to actually stomach small amounts of lactose, like if somebody gave me a piece of chocolate or something like that. So again, don't go with these alarmist headlines. Really put in the time and effort, because how you nourish your body, how you nourish your mind makes a huge difference. If you don't have this chariot or this car, how will you go and win the race of life, or achieve, reach your destination, go on your journey and whatnot? So of the things that you could prioritize, it's really worth prioritizing your physical and mental health, is what I will always come down to. My meal for today, oh my god, I'm so excited about today, is a classical South Indian Malayali meal. I have here, but a little bit of a mix as well, because I have a salad which I had in a very nice restaurant and tried to recreate for myself. I'm so sorry. Sticky fingers. So this salad I actually had in a restaurant, and we tried to recreate it. It's got different kinds of greens in it: apples, walnuts, my fancy blueberries that I talked about the last time. And what I did was we very lightly caramelized these walnuts. Now the problem with a lot of restaurants is that to make salads palatable to us and to give us that feeling like we're so sanctimonious, they will actually load salads with a lot of hidden calories. The walnuts would typically have been caramelized in butter and a lot of sugar, but here what we've done is put a very little amount of jaggery and no oil at all. And we did it on a non-stick pan. Again, pick your demons. Non-stick may not be the greatest, but again, a quick toss around there, not reaching very high temperatures. And in my case, I've tried to pick the lesser of the evils. I don't know if you can see this little seed on it, but this is a seed called halim. Again, the reason I'm adding the seeds is because I'm eating plant-based and I've put very little of it. Halim is apparently a seed that we've had in India for centuries. I love it because it's got a very nice oniony sort of flavor, and I think it just balances the salad out beautifully. Not to sound like a MasterChef contestant, but this is very exciting. I have here sambar and rice. Typically, we would have had this with ghee, but I'm just eliminating the ghee. We don't have a lot of tempering in our sambar. In any case, Malayali food does not have a lot of tempering. What we do is put the skins on most of the vegetables. 1, 2, we don't cook the vegetables to death as much as we can help it. And otherwise, it's just regular sambar. I'm having it with traditional Kerala red rice. Again, I try and vary the different kind of rice that we eat in the house. We certainly do white rice for sure, brown rice, black rice, red rice. And we use a couple of other, even in the white rice, we use like 4-5 different varieties, right? And everybody in the house eats the same kind of rice, except my dogs that have their dog rice. Along with it is another Kerala favorite, is avial, and my personal favorite. Again, what I have done here is I've kept the vegetables lightly cooked. We actually cooked this in an earthenware pot that I bought online, not from Kerala. And it just adds so much flavor to the food, or at least that's what I'm telling myself. The skins are on most of the vegetables. Avial can be made with or without yogurt. We have made this one with yogurt, but mine is a soy-based yogurt again, so that makes it vegan. So like I always say, don't look for specialty vegan foods. Pick the foods that you like, that you're fond of, and try and make them as healthy as you can based on what your priorities are. Yes, I'm eating papad, and this is really one of my pet peeves. I often get asked, people that have listened to influencers who tell you, eat everything, eat what your grandma ate, and I mean, as much as I respect some of these people, and I love that we're bringing conversations about health and traditional foods into the mainstream, a question like, should I be eating papad, is not a black or white question, right? Just because my grandmother ate it or just because my grandfather ate it. Now, this particular papad is deep fried. I'm literally having half a papad. And again, I'm not on calorie deficit diet, right? Now, you need to do the math on a lot of how you're planning to eat. I know for a fact that this will keep me fairly balanced overall. If you've been overindulging in desserts, if you really need to get onto calorie deficit, if you absolutely love your papad, please weigh it out in the balance of everything, right? No one food is a miracle superfood any more than one food is a demon horror food. That's always the rule of thumb there. So please balance it out. Just because an influencer is telling you eat papad doesn't mean you should. Okay, think about your body budget for the day and choose consciously. And with every meal, we have the choice, we have the chance to get it right. And rule of thumb, if you get it right 80% of the time, 20% of the time, it's all right to not be perfect. There are days when I'm tired, there are days when I boredom eat as well, and I don't make the best choices. But overall, the way I've planned my life, it does help me not to have think too much about it, and I do end up being pleasantly surprised, delighted by my meals more often than not, and leaning into the deeper layers of enjoyment of our personalities and truly drawing satisfaction and happiness out of it. So with that, I will leave you to your meal, and I'm going to enjoy my meal as well. I will see you tomorrow, where we will talk about some of the religious beliefs around food, traditional ideas around food. I'm sorry I didn't talk about this today, but I'll tell you what I do eat in my other meals, including some of my boredom eating snacks. Yep, and I look forward to seeing you at 1:35 p.m. IST tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.